10 years ago this week, my husband Brian and I were waiting to get the call as we anxiously awaited the adoption of our first child. We had been waiting for 2 weeks to hear about a baby whose mother was trying to decide on an adoption plan, and in the end, she chose a different couple to parent her baby. We were devastated, absolutely crushed. And to make matters worse, it was my birthday, December 19th. A few days later, as we traveled from our home in Maryland to visit family in Chicago for the holidays, we got another message from our adoption agency. 2 in 1 week is not typical. Another pregnant parent was close to her delivery and making an adoption plan. Did we want to be considered to parent that child? At first, we thought, no way. We cannot go through that again so soon after what had felt like a loss. But then we decided we will be traveling, we'll be surrounded by family, there will be holiday things to distract us, we won't be stressing nonstop, and we had made an agreement. If the universe wanted us to have a baby, we would say yes. So we said yes. We would let this expectant mother look at our materials. And days went by, and the holiday festivities happened, and then an ice storm hit Chicago and shut down the airports. We were stranded for another few days, and by then the fun of travel had worn off. It was December 28th, so I decided I would reach out to our agency just to ask, any word on that baby that was due? And we got an email back from our social worker within a few hours apologizing because normally she would call for that sort of thing, but she too was traveling for the holidays. Yes, she said, the baby was born on December 26th, a boy. We met with his mother yesterday and she chose you. What? She chose us to parent this baby boy while we're stranded several hours away in an ice storm? But the story ends a couple days later when we eventually made it home, this time on my husband's birthday, December 31st, and we met our son in the hospital for the first time. He was a little peanut with a shock of brown hair, and we had a car seat and clothes and the supplies that we needed, but really nothing was ready. Nothing was washed or assembled, the nursery wasn't painted, there were no pictures hung, and just like that, with an email and an ice storm, our lives changed forever. That little peanut is almost 10 now. He's my height. He plays soccer and does math really well. And he's a big brother to our other peanut, who is also not quite very small anymore, and whose story of joining our family is equally chaotic and amazing. A baby changes everything. The story of Christmas is about a baby. Sometimes with all the carols and the angels and the shepherds and the wise people and the stars in the sky, we forget that it's just a baby, a little peanut, probably with a shock of dark brown hair, probably not blonde. That changes everything. For his own family, of course. And the story of Christmas says this baby changes everything for the world. That he would grow to be a teacher of peace and resistance to empire, that he would challenge the religious norms of his day and fight for those who had less. Every time that a baby is born is a sacred and powerful moment. The enormous gift of new life and hope and possibilities wrapped in this tiny body, changing everything for those people in their life and for the world that they will change by their living. An angel tells Mary that she will give birth to a child that will be king. An angel also tells Joseph that the baby Mary is carrying is a gift from God. Do not be afraid. No angel warned me that we would get a fateful email that icy day in Chicago. But if they had, they might have said, "Fear not, for you are wholly unprepared for this child. But he will change your lives in magnificent ways, and the love he will bring will overpower any doubts that you have." Babies have a way of overturning everything we know about order and predictability and knowledge and life and love. The baby we celebrate tonight on Christmas Eve overturned our expectations, reversed the order of who is powerful, and showed us that love is bigger than our categories and bigger than our doubts. A baby changes everything.
Here, take it. Just keep it damp and it'll grow. It's easy, I promise. That's what someone said a few weeks ago as they pressed a festive mug full of dirt with a bulb with green shoots coming up out of it as they pressed it into my hands. My immediate urge was to give it back, to say that if you really knew how I really was with plants, you would not entrust this bulb to me. That if you knew the full, dark truth about my past, namely the cactus that I accidentally killed by running it over with a vacuum when I was 17. That sounds hard, but I'm very skilled. And the inherited houseplants throughout the years, whose alleged hardiness was no match for my neglect. If you knew the truth about who I was, you would never trust me with such a beautiful and tender gift. When we hear the story of the Magi at this time of year, the wise men, the kings, whoever they are, that come to honor the newborn baby Jesus, we almost always talk about the gifts that they carry, about the precious metal and the perfume and the incense that they bring, all classic newborn gifts on every baby registry. But this year, this Advent, this Christmas, as I have watched the paper-white narcissus daffodils grow on my kitchen table, I learned their name when I referred to it as an amaryllis, but was gently but clearly corrected about this extremely rookie mistake. As I have watched these paper-whites blossom, I've been thinking about the gift that the Magi were given in the story of the birth of Jesus. You see, the Magi were not at Jesus' birth by accident, like the reading said. In this version, right, from the story from the Gospel of Matthew, they are sent by King Herod. They're to make sure that they know exactly where the baby is so that they can report back about its location. Right? They were sent there because when they stopped by Herod's palace, he sent them because Herod was afraid of what a baby like Jesus could do to a powerful ruler like him. But instead of returning to tell Herod where he could find Jesus, the wise men receive a gift, a dream. A dream that tells them to go home a different way, to not tell Herod about Jesus. These powerful, wise men, sometimes people think of them as astrologers or magicians, kings, travelers, fortune tellers. They, when they sought the baby out, were giving something more powerful than any king or any throne. They were trusted with the fate of a new and tender life. This year, as I've watched the paperwhites bloom, I've wondered whether the wise men ever felt like they weren't qualified to be trusted with such an important and tender thing. If they wondered, if they really knew that we had been sent here to report back, if they really knew who we were, if they really knew what kind of people they were, they wouldn't give us such an important job. I wonder whether the wise men would have wished that the forces that be had chosen some more experienced magi who would have to make the choice to refuse to tell Herod where Jesus was, who would have to make the choice to go home by another road. But the gift the Magi were given the gift pressed into their hands even as they said, "Are you sure?" This gift of the chance to choose tenderness, new life and possibility instead of violence and greed, that gift is one that any of us can receive, no matter how unqualified we may think we are. All it takes is saying yes. Yes to the new life. Yes to the green shoots that you will keep damp. Yes to the possibility that a baby might be more powerful than a king. All it takes is when someone presses a little bit of hope into your hands, saying yes.
A couple years ago, my family and I went to the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago, a favorite stop of ours when we visit family in the Windy City. And that particular time, we went through the mirror maze. It's like a fun house. You walk through a maze, but it's made of mirrors. The walls, the ceiling, the floor, all of it, mirrors. As a mom, I wonder who cleans all those. But as a participant, I have to admit it was not my favorite. The kids ran ahead, and then there were other kids in the maze. So I would think I would see them, and then it was like, no, those aren't my children. And I was absolutely, thoroughly lost. My heart pounded as I wondered, what happens if I'm stuck here forever? What if my kids make it out, but I never do? Will someone bring me food? What if I have to use the restroom? Up was down, left was right. I had no sense of my own bearings. I would start to feel confident that I should make a turn, and then, bam, I would walk into a mirror. That's probably how the shepherds felt that night so long ago in Bethlehem. Shepherds were usually young and poor. It was not a high prestige job. No crowns of gold or frankincense for those boys out in the fields. And then, bam, angels, bringing them news of a king, a savior, someone they had been waiting for, that the stories had talked about for generations, someone who would free their people from the powerful forces oppressing them. But wait, why are the angels telling them? The poor ones. The ones who didn't wear fancy clothes or even know how to read. It was like that mirror maze. Everything seemed backwards. And then going along, bam, the king, the savior. He's a baby? Like a little crying, drooling baby? That's what we've been waiting for? That can't be right. Bam! Smack into a mirror wall. Up is down, down, left is right. And wait, the baby isn't even the son of a king or a noble? Not riding on a cloud from heaven, just a baby? Born to an unmarried couple? From another town far away, and they don't even have a nice place to sleep? The shepherds were confused. We, readers of the story, we have heard this story so many times that we're not surprised. We know the angels, the shepherds, the baby, the wise men. Look, they're in different stories. The wise men and the shepherds, different stories. But the truth is, even though we think we know it, we're supposed to be confused by this. We are supposed to be utterly disoriented by this dizzying reversal of expectations. God was not revealed as a chariot-riding king or a warrior with a magical sword. Nope. What was revealed to us was the biggest, most powerful love imaginable, a baby. And it was a glimpse into the later chapters of the story. The plan was not going to unfold the way we all expected. This baby would reverse the messages of the world. The last, they're first. The rich, they're in trouble. The poor ones, they are the favored ones, the chosen ones. Those on the outside, invite them in. The leaders, they should follow. The ones in prison, set them free. A veritable mirror maze of a story. The shepherds, poor and confused, guided by the angels, showed the way through the twists and turns to the truth of something that can save us all. Love. Love, bigger than we can ever imagine, even and especially when it comes as a little helpless baby.